Here we go. Welcome, everyone. It is so glad. I am so happy to be back. First of all, I'm Robin, and
I'm
my
Susan.
special guest is Suzanne Morning, the lovely Suzanne, the lovely, talented, and gifted Suzanne Morning. And today in the USA is her birthday. So happy birthday. But technically, her birthday was yesterday because she lives down under.
In
So,
New Zealand. So I've got two birthdays, but does that mean I've aged 2 years? Or does that mean one went forward and one went back, which means I haven't really aged at all?
well, actually, I was thinking about it when I
Mm.
was putting my makeup on today. So your birthday is 1/15, and this is 2024. So this is a personal year of six for you. So
Hmm. Six, six,
that's
six? Is that a 666?
no, it's not a 666.
Mark of the beast? I'm feeling a bit beastly lately.
It's not the mark of the beast. So it's a
Uh,
personal year of six for you. So your last year was that would have made your personal year of five. So
okay.
last year would have been a year of transformation for you, which it was a very transformational year for you. Because you're like
Hmm.
Suzanne is one of my best, most favorite people on the planet. Um,
Touche. Touche.
and so that means this year is a six. And let's see, six is about forward movement. If you look at the number six, it's like a pregnant woman's belly. It's giving birth, it's creative energy.
I have had quite a bloated stomach.
Well, I don't
Had
think,
a bit of a belly. I have been eating too much chocolate. So, yes, you're right on there.
well,
Been going back to the gym, though, trying to
tec-
do those sit ups.
technically, technically, you're a Capricorn, and Capricorns have a sweet tooth. That's where the chocolate comes in.
That
But
is
number
true.
six is creative energy. So, you know,
Uh,
I got so many comments about the last time we did a podcast together when you told the story about the chocolate.
wonder what did I say?
Do you
I was
remember
just about to
about
say
the
Tea
chocolate
Chocolate
that you
Mint
had
is a great brand. Hmm? What's that?
chocolate and you told your friend to hide the chocolate and not to give it to you and you wanted chocolate, so you used spirit to help you find the chocolate?
Oh, yes, because he had it in the garage in a particular box.
The
Yes.
garbage.
Yes.
I loved your accent. How do you say that? Garage?
Garage.
Garage.
Yes, I do that. I hide it from me or make it very difficult, put it up in top cupboard so I have to get like a little ladder. But when the call comes, I then I'm back.
Well,
And my dog. Now here's
can't
another
do
thing.
this with you.
Dogs reflect our energy because I put a block, half a block, wrapped outside my door, ready to take to someone. And my lovely little dog, Thomas, who is really just another version of me, found it. And unbeknownst to me, while I was doing something, scoffed half a bar. Very unresponsible of me, I know, but it was wrapped up quite securely. And he managed to break through the little Shih Tzu. He's a Shih Tzu. But he's fine. He lives to tell the tale. But just going on a slight tangent here, I think dogs and animals are a reflection of us because he is gluten free, dairy free, sugar free like me.
I
He's
agree.
got the similar
When I walk
personality.
when I walk my dogs and I pass by other people, did you ever notice that they look like their dogs or their dogs look like them?
I do think it's true. I mean, shall I bring him onto the show?
Yeah, bring
Come
him
on,
on.
Thomas. He's sitting in a little beanbag. One of my friends said, one of them was talking to another and said, "Oh, Suzanne's got a dog." And they said, "Oh, what kind of dog?" And they said, "Well, think about what she looks like and imagine." Yeah, it's a very fluffy dog. Hang on. Oh, relax. Come here. You like to come and say hello to Robin? You come and say hello, darling. He's just sitting in the beanbag. Oh, boy.
Oh my
Oh,
God. Hello,
oh,
Thomas. Give Andy
oh.
Robin kisses. I love him. Look at him. He's so adorable. But
Mm.
yes, I
Oh my God.
there's a lady that has a schnauzer. And she walks the schnauzer, and honestly, they both even have the same color hair.
He tolerates my obsessive patting and kissing.
Well, Thomas is very independent.
He is quite independent. He's very social and independent, but when he's had enough, he's like, excuse me, now I'm off to do my own thing.
Wow.
He-
He has
He's a bit of a guts.
your temperament too.
He likes to sleep a lot. He's quite relaxed and he's a bit of a guts.
Is he vegan?
Um, I'm not fully vegan, but I prefer a plant-based diet, but he can't have too much red meat
Yeah.
like me. So I do, I do believe animals are reflections or extensions of us, or they come to give us the healing or comfort or absorb something in our body or to crack open our hearts, because they're non-threatening. They come right into our energy field. They disarm us. Like very
Love, loyalty.
Yeah.
Nobody loves you like a dog.
Yeah.
They
And
are
they
the
take you
most
hostage
loyal
without
animals.
knowing.
This morning, I walked my dogs early this morning, and we got snow last night. We've had 2 snow, not a lot, but enough to make it, they're icy and a little bit slippery. And
Yeah.
there were 2 deer down at the stream at the bottom of because I live on the side of a mountain. So
Yeah.
there were deer out there, and I walked by with my dogs, and I saw
Yeah.
the deer, but deer can move and not make a sound. I don't know how they do it.
Mm.
And obviously they heard me because, their heads were up and we made eye contact, and dogs looked that way. And as soon as Maverick saw them, like he
Yeah.
stopped for a minute, he's like, that's a really big dog. Do I really want to mess? Because, Maverick barks at everything. Mr.
Yeah.
Maverick. Magic Maverick thinks he thinks he's a Rottweiler, I think. Maybe he was in another life. Who knows? And he saw the deer, and like he looked at me and he looked at the deer and he looks back at me, and I'm like, I don't know, buddy, he's pretty big. He's pretty big. I'm not sure I'd want to mess with him. And
Mm.
Maverick didn't bark. And we just kept on walking, and the deer went back to the water. But when I was sick and I had pneumonia too,
Yeah.
my dogs are only 9 months old.
Yeah.
So like I got sick right after I got them, like about a month after I got them.
Mm.
Those dogs stayed with me like the entire time. Like I leave the
Mm.
house, when I shut the door, I can hear them crying through the door, and it always makes me feel mother guilt.
Oh.
So, but my neighbors are good. Like we take turns with
Mm.
they have a dog that's like just I think he just turned a year old. So
Mm.
they play. We do play dates. So, but yeah, animals are loyal. They're very loyal. And I think more than anything, it's the unconditional love and the healing that they give us, the
Yeah.
comfort that they bring.
They
Never
access our
alone.
hearts in a way that humans can't. Because they can't speak and they can't break confidentiality. And so they communicate through just touch and presence.
Well, it makes me angry when somebody says animals don't have souls, because
They are
you've
souls. They're
never
great
then
souls.
you've never looked fully into the eyes of an animal if you think an animal doesn't have a soul.
Yeah. They're
I'm probably
unaware of
some of
their
the
own
most
soul.
painful losses in my life was, a dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would put it right there
Yeah.
with my mom, or,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. Because love doesn't have to talk.
No,
Love doesn't have to talk. You feel it. It's a vibration, it's a frequency, it's a commitment, it's a presence, it's a touch. It's not language to
I love
me.
I love that you said that, because not too long ago, someone and I were having a conversation, and I don't even remember what the subject was. And the person said, I don't believe in anything that I don't see with my own eyes. I go, really?
Yeah.
I said, have you ever been in love?
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, well, can you tell me what that looks like? He
Mm.
stopped and
Oh, good point.
took a breath. And I said, now, can you tell me what that feels like?
Yeah.
Bingo. So, like when we talk about spirit and the angels and the way we get downloads and the way we process and the way we coach and consult people and the things that we do, and people think
Mm.
it's crazy. Like if I tell you that there's, like your grandmother is standing behind you behind your left shoulder right now.
Can
I'm
you
sure,
see that?
yeah, she is.
Is that my Welsh grandmother, Mamgie?
Yes, it is.
Not, she's not tall, she's short. And she's quite
She's
bossy
she's
and forthright.
a character. She has a big
She,
personality for a small woman. That's what I want to say.
she does. And she's not afraid to put anyone in their place. She's quite diminutive.
Well,
I think,
Suzanne, she's like going like this. Did she
oh,
do this to you when you were little?
oh, yes. Now that is Mamgie, and that's my mother. She would always have her finger in your face, and we'd do it back to her. It's all about the finger. The
Okay.
Welsh,
Well,
yeah, that's it.
I'm not gonna give details because we are recording. Yes, we are recording. Make sure I don't even remember hitting the button. But
Yes.
the
What she
conversation
does.
we had before I pushed the button, she's like,
Yeah.
you know better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I'm
interesting.
gonna say this. She has already made her choice.
Is she? Of
She
the ones
has.
seen or the ones unseen and yet to come? We don't know.
Do you remember when
Maybe,
we were talking about the Bermuda Triangle?
yes.
Well, it's a point
We,
in the Bermuda Triangle.
we might have to follow this up later. Sorry, listeners.
Yes, we'll have to. But anyway, it's like all I could do to keep a straight face because she's like, and she's really like her brows are like,
Oh,
she's very,
oh.
how can I say this? Uh, she's a force to be reckoned with, is what I want to say.
She is, and that's the Welsh strength. And Mum has that because Mum's been on death's door so many times, and she's gone, "Yeah, I'm not dying yet, thanks." And she's come back from the dead several times, literally, and everyone goes, "Miracle woman," and she won't die until she's gone already, and her and God have negotiated, and now it's time to go. And she's got that same incredible willpower. And I've got it too, because my mum would get very annoyed at me and say, "You won't take no." Well, she wouldn't say it like that. She said in the Welsh accent, "You won't take no" for an answer. Susanne is what she called me.
I love, that reminds me of Tom Jones. I love a Welsh accent.
It's rich because they both came from Swansea, so they all do. So it's a very musical accent, and I've got quite a bit of cadence in my voice from it. But when they say something's beautiful, we go, "Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful." And they go, "Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. She looks lovely." And that's how they talk. So it's very musical. And when they all sing together, it's quite powerful. But Mandy came to stay with us when we were teenagers. And she used to call me Madam. She was a little bit put out by because I
Hi.
didn't like to get my hands. I didn't like to get my hands dirty. And my sister loved to do all the practical things and running the house. But I didn't. I just liked to read and daydream and think about things. And I always had very dry skin. And I hated getting my hands dirty because my skin would crack. And so she called me Madam.
Because
So she used to make us,
you're
hmm?
sensitive. You're sensitive.
Yeah, my skin was very sensitive and dry. And she'd pass us in the hallway and chuck salt or, always doing lots of superstitious activities in the house, much to the bewilderment of
Mystical
my very
investigation. You doing
fundamentalist
mystical
father.
investigation back then?
Was that?
I said, were you doing your mystical investigation back then?
Well, no, because I was a very I was a product of the faith
That's
of,
right.
of fundamentalist evangelical Christianity. And I still work through the Christ energy, but it's nothing like the church confines of a patriarchal, dominating, rule giving, combined with a white man in the sky with a beard and a stick ready to correct or hit us.
Right.
I see it more as a hippie, liberating energy that says, play and learn and tell me what it was like and what you'd like to do next time.
Very,
So, no,
very,
I was very, very, very managed and very.
that was just a very Saturnian comment, and you're a Capricorn. I love the way you and Tracy do the astrology without even knowing it. That is a typical Capricorn statement.
Which one?
The whole
Knowing my
last one,
astrological ignorance.
the whole last sentence that you said, because Saturn's the teacher. It's the great teacher. So in Capricorn, it's what are you here to learn? What have I learned? Right. And then like
Yeah.
Pluto at the very end degrees of Capricorn, and Pluto is your power. So it's telling us to take what we learned from our hurts, our pain, our lessons, and take what serves us moving forward and embody our power, because Pluto is our power. And moving into Aquarius, it's like a whole shift in dynamics and energies with like very forward thinking. It's the higher mind. It's the genius. So it's like, and you have a lot of that genius energy, creative energy in you as well. So it's like electricity. It's like that.
And I want to use that this year. I'm going to write 666 over my creative cabin and try.
It's not six. You're in a personal year of six.
Okay.
A creative energy for you. It's forward movement.
Yeah.
What else? It's the sixth house in astrology, which is health and wellness. It's work. It's diet. It's pets. You could be getting another pet. You could be making.
I'd like to get a bird, maybe a cockatoo. I'd love an owl.
Well, they would sleep all day. Owls are nocturnal. You have to get a bird that's awake during the day. Otherwise, it's going to hoot all night.
Yeah.
I have one out here that goes, although mine's a little kooky. Mine sometimes in the middle of the day. I never saw and heard an owl in the middle of the day, but I have one.
What have you got? Have you got an owl?
Yeah, not as a pet.
Outside. Oh, outside. Oh.
I love I love
we have
conversations with you because we're like on totally different planets and we still can communicate. Yes, Suzanne, I have this Jagunda owl outside of my window. He lives in the big tree and he hoots in the middle of the effing day. He's cuckoo banana.
Oh, love one like that. We have a bird that looks like an owl and it's called a moorpork. And that's the sound he makes.
What's it called?
Moorpork. Moorpork.
Moorpork?
Yeah. So, and at night you hear him and he says, because I used to live in a house deep in the bush where I lived in a place called Titirangi, which means on the fringe of heaven. It's deep jungle bush. You have to slash your way through it. And like Amazonian jungle, we live in the middle and you'd hear lots of animals. And then at night, I would hear the possum, which is a furry animal, kind of like your weasel raccoony thing. And he goes,
the possums here.
He'd make that noise every night.
We have
and
them.
then the moorpork would go, moorpork. So we'd hear that every night before we fell to sleep.
Like, do you have katydids?
What's that?
It's like a little bug, and they rub their wings together, and it sounds
cicadas.
It sounds like they're saying katydid. No, I know what a cicada is, not cicadas. These are katydids.
No.
Sounds like they're going katydid, 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 and it's like a high frequency, kind of like you know how cricket noise
Yeah.
Forget it. I don't even know how we got on this stupid subject. You and I together are just crazy.
I know why, because I was going to say I want a bird because I love birds and we like pets, and two interesting things happened to me one day. Might share this. And I don't know, maybe other people get visitations from birds, because I think spirit works through animals and birds. And with past one will often appear to you as a bird. sitting there, bringing comfort or a bit of guidance, reassurance they're around. I was standing in my driveway in the middle of a residential area about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and this owl, and we're talking residential, swooped over, looped around me, went off, and then disappeared. And it was as high as I could reach up and grab it. Now, my father represents an owl to me, because I've learnt wisdom from him, and we had a little owl in our backyard that he's gifted me. My mother represents a white dove to me. And I remember driving along talking about Mum. Well, and while I was driving, a white dove came out of nowhere, swooped in front of the car window, and then went off to the side. And there was a big steeple church, and it landed on the statue of Mary. I turned to my friend Donna and I said, "Oh my God, did you see that white dove when we were talking about Mum?" And she said, "No, I didn't." I said, "Yes, you must have. It went right in front of the driver's window, Donna." She said, "No, Suzanne, I didn't see it. You did." So I'm just wondering perhaps if other people also get little visitations, and never to underestimate the value of them, because that's the other side, bringing a little reassurance that, yeah, it's a shitty hard time you're going through, but you're not alone.
I do. I have a special connection with birds too. And
Robin, by any chance?
well, I do. My father did. My father actually named me, but I have a connection with, well, my mom passed 2 years ago. Her favorite bird was a cardinal. And when
Yeah.
I moved here 10 months ago, I had no idea that the state bird was a cardinal. And I saw all these car license plates with cardinals on them. I'm like, what the hell's with the cardinals? Like everywhere I look, there's a cardinal.
Wow.
And I move into the house, and there was one magnet on the refrigerator, and it was a cardinal.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then, like, every morning, even as cold as it is right now, and it's been below, with wind chills, it's been below 2 degrees. I think today made it to 14 degrees. I don't know what that is in Celsius. Just,
Yeah.
think Arctic, okay? Because I think that's what it
Yeah.
is. Arctic blast moving through or something. I don't know if it's coming from Canada. It's coming from hell. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's cold. Um, the cardinals come every day, and I don't feed them here like I did at my other house, because in order to feed them, then I would have squirrels hanging on my balcony and stuff, and I don't want that, because
Lovely.
squirrels can cause a lot of damage, and they chew.
Can they
But
do that?
they come every.
We don't have squirrels.
You don't have squirrels?
No,
Really?
no, no,
So I guess
no.
squirrels don't like tropical weather. You don't have enough nuts over there.
We have quite a few nuts there, but not the variety that the squirrels like to eat. But
Doesn't matter. I read somewhere. God, this is an almost stupid conversation, but I can't help myself tonight.
don't forget, we have to do our movie review on Poor Things, just to have a very eclectic feel today, where nothing's cohesive, everything's
Will you
beautiful.
stop? I read that, they, in the fall, squirrels go around and they gather up all the acorns, right, from the oak trees. You do have oak trees, right?
We do.
I don't know how the hell they got there, but you got oak trees on an island. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
So, but I read that they actually forget where they hide, like 70 or 80% of their nuts. That's why they're always in your bird feeders and everything, that they take the whole fall and they're gathering all these nuts, the greedy little
Yeah.
SUVs, and they're stockpiling them up. There's nothing that they can't break into or chew through. And I mean, I am guilty of feeding them in the past, but I stopped. And when I stopped feeding them, they ate my deck. They chewed my wood deck. I actually, yes. Yes, you have to be careful when you feed. So, like, if I throw something out, I throw it like down towards the water, down the side of the mountain, because they climb up and down there all the time anyway. I drive my dogs crazy chasing them, and the dogs
Oh,
over the
you.
mountain one day. But yeah, they forget where they hide most of their nuts. Sounds familiar.
It does sound familiar. Where did I
I-
put that very important document that was meant to be in a safe place? I just found, talking about finding things, I just found a poem. My dear, very dear gay friend, Michael, who I'm lost touch with, wrote for me 25 years ago, and I've been searching for it for 25 years. And I just found it in a pile of letters the other day, and it fell out, and it's like, oh, there it is. He wrote a poem for me called My String of Pearls. It's like, oh,
And I know you love pearls, and you love pearls so much that when my mother passed, I gave you a set of my mother's
yes, yes. And I've got them right here for a little visual of that.
pearls.
We like to entertain anyone sharing this conversation. Here they are. And when I go out, I say I'm taking Carol out. And what was your grandmother called again?
Mary.
Mary Carroll out. Because they belong to both of them, yeah. And they get a lot of caressing and touching, and they're privy to many private conversations.
Wow, I'm not sure who would enjoy that more, my grandmother or my mother. Probably a little bit of
A little
both.
bit shocked. They've been a little bit shocked, and they've probably been interacting with my Welsh grandmother, and she's probably going, now you turn away, ladies. This is not for your eyes.
The Welsh know how to stir the pot. Oh my
They
goodness.
do. They
So
do. They're
are you,
beautiful. Thank
is the poem really personal and
you.
private, or would you like to share it? It's funny because, every time when I go into my jewelry box tonight, I went in to pull out the turquoise. These were my mom's turquoise. I love turquoise. And my mom's pearls were in there. And every time I see them, I think of you because,
Oh,
it's like we think about all the things we've been through, right? And how does a pearl
yeah.
start? It's a grain of
It
sand
irritates you.
that
That woman
irritates.
Susanne in New Zealand with that irritating accent under my
I
skin.
love your accent, but when you think about the beauty that comes from irritation and the way that we grow and expand and all of the energies and all of the hell we've all been through for the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And it's every time I open that jewelry box and I see that, I just reminds me of everything that we've all been through. And I always go right to you because you're like yeah, I think you're my only friend that likes pearls.
I love pearls, and I think they are a metaphor. Something formed in the
Very
dark,
shiny.
dark deep in a prison that's clasped in within a sack of something that's irritated and painful and it wears us down. But in the end, it produces something. And I think we can say it's a metaphor for life because, as you were saying when we were talking earlier off camera, you could see some growth and work in me. And it's not something I can intellectually articulate. It's just a dark night of the soul of things I've been working and feeling. And to those out who are listening to this, I would say if you can't articulate what you're going through, you're probably going through something deep and profound because it's when we can't always understand it, the most deepest subconscious work is happening at a level we may not get until retrospectively, perhaps even years later. And it's okay not to understand, but it's important to welcome it all in, the feelings, the irritation, let the pearl form in the deep, dark clasp of the unknown, shed the tears, feel the feelings, let the river flow through. I spoke to an old lady the other day. It's a vintage shop, and I love the old vintage lacy thing. And we were talking about pain, and she's in her 80s, and she says, Suzanne, I always say, let the river of pain flow through, let it pass through you. And I thought that was good because we're in a society that says stop, understand it, articulate it, medicate it, suffocate it, defecate it. But let's just celebrate and let it be there as part of the journey. It is our string of pearls. It is coming through, it's passing through, and it takes time. It's
And
not instant.
think about it. It's okay. So it starts as a grain of sand. It becomes an irritation.
Mm.
The clam keeps turning it over and over and over. It becomes luminous and iridescent, but yet it's still in the dark. And think about
Yeah,
how
that's
hard
beautiful.
it is to pry a clam open.
Yeah. And how tough these are
Yeah,
and how reflective they are.
exactly. So I said the iridescence and and the iridescence goes all the way through. It's solid. It's not just like you dip it in something or you paint a coating.
Oh, I like that.
Iridescence goes all the way through. So that
Oh,
energy is all the way
it,
through. And
yeah, nice point.
how many
It's
times that
authentic.
how many times is that turned over in that shell? How
Mm,
many times did it take? How many lessons, how many challenges did we have to go
mm,
through? How many mountains
mm,
did we have to climb only to get to the top and look
mm,
down
mm,
and see that we had to go down the other side of the mountain, across the valley to get to the next mountain,
mm, mm,
climb, see from an even higher perspective, right?
mm, mm.
So is the journey of the pearl.
I like that. It's like same old, but different. Same,
We
but
think
different.
it's the same. We think
Same
it's
issue,
the
but on
same.
a slightly different level every time.
Exactly. It's like the spiral. You're spiraling up, but you don't
Spiraling
know
sideways.
it. You don't
You
know.
don't know it. We just think we're stuck in some awful hell and we're failures and we're not getting the lesson and everyone else is together and doing well, but that's all an illusion because we're all shitting ourselves in some way.
Well,
And
let me ask you,
yeah,
um, you talked about that you channel Christ like light energy. And
mm,
I have felt a lot of that. Now,
yeah,
I I only told one other person about this dream, but I'm gonna share it now because I don't really care what anybody thinks. I don't. I mean, I do, but I don't. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't care in a way that like if somebody calls me crazy, that doesn't bother me. Uh,
Because we are crazy. We are not normal. And therein lies our superpower.
well, but what is normal? And
Boring.
who wrote the guidelines on normal? Like
Exactly.
I think we're pretty normal.
We're not meant to be normal. We're all meant to be neurodivergent. We're all meant to be vastly different.
Well, I had this dream, like, and it was so real. It was like the hand of God, you know, like
Mm.
I don't even know how to describe it.
I
Um,
remember you telling
but
me about.
I saw I don't normally sleep on my back, but for some whatever reason, I know I was on my back. I was rolling over or
Mm,
somehow I wound up on my back. It's not a normal position for me.
mm, mm,
And I'm a side sleeper. So
mm.
because of my shoulder. So I usually favor my left side over my right because of my
Yeah.
all the surgeries that I had. And if this
Mm,
aches me and I get tired of laying on one side, I will roll on my back. And that's when I normally wake up. But I
yeah.
remember it was a very lucid dream because I remember going, this is a weird dream. Like I was dreaming in my dream and I knew I was dreaming and I was aware of the fact that it was a dream,
Mm, mm,
but it was real at the same time. I don't even know how to describe it. Almost like being on
mm,
another timeline. But I was laying on my back looking up at the sky and there
mm.
were stars in a circle and they were just spinning
Wow.
around and around and around and around. And
Yeah.
then next thing I know, they stopped and then they did this blinking like what do you call that? Old fashioned like a telegraph?
Morse code.
Morse
Morse code.
code, like Morse code, da, 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 da,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like a pattern, right? And then it stopped and they started swirling again. And then this bright white light came and then it was like
Mm.
the face of Jesus, I wanted to say. Like
Wow.
I mean, I
Beautiful.
remember waking up saying, I just met Jesus.
Yeah.
And you know me, like I'm not a churchy
No.
free Sunday. I mean,
Mm,
when I
mm,
was a kid, for a little bit, we went to Baptist. My mom and dad sent us to Sunday school, and the closest
yeah.
church Baptist church, and they had like a van, and they used to pick us up in this little mini bus, and, so my mom didn't even have to get up and take us out. Then when I met my
Yeah.
grandmother, like, she was Catholic and Native American, and then very diversified religious background, and then later on, having, born
Yeah.
again Christian, and a little bit of everything. I think we all go through these phases in our life because we're
Mm,
to find the answer why, who is God and why,
mm,
you know,
mm.
which I got put in the corner for that question, for asking why God
Yeah.
let people suffer when I was a kid. I always tell that story
Cool.
because I think it's hysterical. I think it's effing hysterical that I asked a question about God in church and got put in the corner. Like, really? You're punishing me and I'm in church? I could stay home and stand in the corner. I don't need to go to church. Get put in the corner, Don't put baby in the corner. That's just,
Oh, don't put baby in the corner.
let
Oh,
me
I
tell
love
you
that.
what, that shit stopped with me. I didn't put my kids in the corner, and nobody else better either. So,
Oh, yeah. Love that. Don't put baby in the corner. That's a t-shirt.
yeah,
That's a t-shirt.
from Dirty Dancing. That's like one of my favorite. I used to
Yeah.
love.
It's one of my favorite lines too. Yeah, I was baby. I
Yeah.
was baby. But yeah, do a t-shirt.
Ah,
Beautiful dream. Yeah, I remember you
yeah,
sharing.
and I feel a lot of that energy. Like,
Mm,
there's something I want to say very pure and divine in the energy. Um, More, not that it isn't always that way, but more than usual. I don't know if it's something that shifted in me, in the overall energy. I did hear
mm,
someone else make a comment. It was like a 1 minute video. I think it was Lori Ladd, which I used to
mm,
follow her all the time, but I don't follow many people anymore because I just don't have time. But
mm.
um, she said something about she felt like Jesus was holding her hand. And I'm like, and
Oh,
here I am, like having this dream like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, do I say this out loud? People are going to think I'm really nuts. And I'm like, well, since when do you care what people think, kind of thing? But
yeah.
it was almost like so pure, like, and genuine and authentic.
Yeah.
Like, didn't want to share it because I didn't want to ruin the purity of it. Does that make sense?
I think a lot of people who have experiences don't want to taint it by sharing it and having negative comeback.
Well, that's, the
That
negative,
makes that makes sense. That makes sense.
the
But
negative
you
thoughts.
needed it. Came to you, and it was a beautiful, uplifting, comforting moment, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
well, it was like, it was, I don't even know how to just describe the feeling, kind of
And
thing.
I think people have that in those deepest, darkest moments where we think we can't go another step forward. It's like the universe goes, or God, divine, whatever you call it, goes, throw her a lifeline.
But
Because it's
that's
like a
really,
reality check. We're forgetting and it's overwhelming us. And it keeps us going. It keeps us in the game, doesn't it?
but that's the really interesting aspect, was when I felt like I really needed them, like 2 years ago. Okay. That's when I really felt alone. I mean, you were there, okay.
Mm,
And like everything's gone pretty well. Like, I'm finally got a scan that's 100% clear. I don't even have a wheeze
mm,
or
mm.
anything. I mean, I have some seasonal allergies going on, but like I had pneumonia for almost 6 months.
Yeah, yeah,
I really
yeah.
was not well. I mean, I actually questioned, like, again, questioned God. I was like looking up, going, really? Okay, well, listen,
Yeah. Give
if
me
we
a break.
want to take me, let's not take the long route. Just let's get her done, get it done,
Mm, mm,
because I really felt like that. Not like I wanted to die or wanted to kill myself or anything, and nothing like,
mm, mm,
just like, no, I can't stand another minute of this. Either make me well or take me.
mm, mm,
Someone
mm.
send me somewhere, kind of thing. But that's not when I saw it. It was like, it was beautiful to see the beauty in it. And then like, it made me stop and think, oh, damn, that was there all the time. I was just couldn't see it through my own pain,
Oh, I like that.
right?
Yeah.
I couldn't see through my own pain because I
Mm,
was I was doing the shadow work, and I was,
mm. We
it's
were in the
one
dark.
foot in both
We were
worlds,
dark.
right? One
Yeah.
both worlds. We talked about someone before we came on live, and I said that person walks the line between light and dark. And there are a
Mm,
lot of people that do that. And it's not a judgment because I want to say, I don't like to use the word evil, but I want to say, for lack of a better term, it's a necessary
mm,
evil because the people that walk the line, that walk the shadows, they're the ones that stand there and go, "Mm, not your time. Turn back and go.
yeah.
You're headed in the wrong direction."
Mm,
Very Plutonian energy. While
mm,
we're on the very end degrees of Pluto and Capricorn getting ready to move like next
mm,
Sunday, Monday into Aquarius, which will be a whole new energy. But I found that really enlightening because honestly, until this very
mm.
moment, that didn't hit me until this very moment during this conversation. Whenever I talk to you, isn't it interesting how when we talk, we always pull something out of each other?
We get little revelations.
We could write a chapter in the Bible.
Oh my gosh. I have a lot to say. One day I did write a little,
There is a
I
witch's
wrote a
Bible.
channel story. I wrote a channel story, and one day I could read it because it's a very biblical language. And they could chuck it in the Bible for a bit of comic relief. I think it's necessary. There's
Well,
no
listen,
comedy in the Bible, and God likes to have a damn good laugh, I'll have you know.
I, I think there's a lot of comedy in the Bible myself. You have to learn to read between the
Well, you
problem
do
with the
probably have
Bible
to
is
read me.
the whole thing was just translated incorrectly would be my comment. And I'll leave it at that because I'm sure that
Yeah.
pissed somebody off.
It had there was a very patriarchal culture, and it was used for state control. But having said that, there's many beautiful things that are accurate and alive, and beautiful quotes from Christ. One I really liked was, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." And when I think of what you've gone through and all of your illness for the last several months, it was like there was a massive clearing, if you don't mind me saying, of so
No,
much grief and things you have carried beforehand. And now your body was doing a massive clearing of grief, and it comes out through the body. And we can only be comforted and healed if we actually do the grief work and we give ourselves permission to let the river of pain flow through, and literally to cry the river out. I cried me a river. Isn't there a song? Cry me a river. There's some jazzy song, Cry Me a River.
yeah,
Um,
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it.
and that's the
I could say
release.
I
You
cried an
have to
ocean,
understand it.
I cried an ocean, then I swam it. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, um, it's interesting too, because the first, the first time I became very, very ill, actually it was not long after my dad died. And
Mm,
I held all that in because I'm the one that had
had
to have
to be
my shit
strong.
together, right? I'm the one that had the
Yeah.
responsibility
Yeah.
to step it up, you know. I didn't know at the time I was a Capricorn rising, so that's where all my sense of responsibility and I feel responsible for everybody. And that chapter,
Mm,
that chapter's closed. But uh,
mm,
yeah, I didn't even cry for like a year until after my
mm.
died. Matter of
It's
fact,
like delayed grief, isn't it? It's delayed grief. It
it
just sits in the
is. It
body.
is.
It
It's like
sits in the body until we're ready to release it.
it ferments. It
Mm,
ferments, but it doesn't.
mm,
It's like this beautiful wine that turns to vinegar and then sours and just, you know, too much of any one thing is not good for the body, right?
mm,
I was deathly thin. I was like 90 pounds,
mm,
90 pounds, I think I was. Um, I had run into somebody that hadn't seen me in years that didn't even recognize me.
mm.
Yeah, it was a lot. You don't, but you know, I also got diagnosed with, you know, like that's when I got diagnosed with autoimmune disease and
Do you
yeah,
think they were connected? You know, the repressed grief and the autoimmunity? Because when we're holding back,
I
repressing anything,
absolutely
it
do.
takes a hell of a lot of energy to hold things in so that the body doesn't get to regenerate, which is really what immunity is. So
Right.
I think,
I do believe that if we don't speak our truth and it sits inside of us, that it will eventually. I just had this conversation with
leaks
someone else
out
not
somewhere.
too long ago, and I said, don't hold that shit in. It'll just make you sick.
Yeah, it does eventually.
Yeah, I
And we're
mean,
not a
I have
society that's
attacks, I have
comfortable with grieving.
panic attacks, anxiety,
Wow.
like out of nowhere. Just one day you're fine, and then all of a sudden, like literally in the blink of an eye, I'm on the floor having seizures, and like at what 45 years old, and it had never happened
Mm,
before. I had no clue what was. Yeah, it's
it just caught up. It's like the river overflowing. It just fills up and then
it's like anything. If you don't clean your shower, you get a buildup of soap
mm,
or a buildup of calcium if you have hard water or whatever. Things build up. It's layers, it's layers,
yeah,
it's layers. And
yeah.
it's building a foundation, but it's not the kind of foundation that we want to build, right? It's not that kind of foundation. Um, so we want to move forward, but it's not the way that it's not the proper foundation. It's not something that we want to build a future on because it's
Mm.
stable. It's unstable ground. And at any time that foundation can crack, and that's what happens. You get sick.
And then it does. We get sick, we get panic attacks, PTSD, because there's things sitting in the subconscious we don't remember. But that's the beautiful thing I think about the divine and the surrender prayer is when we notice something's not right, we can actually say, I don't know what's going on, but something is, will you take charge and heal me? And we
Right.
don't even have to understand what's going on, but that very act of surrender and an invitation, to me, in my experience, has allowed the universe to set up dramas that bring the pain to the fore so that it is expressed and released. So people will often go into parallel pains to mirror the original pain so it gets released. And unfortunately, in our society, we like to medicate and suppress things because we don't think it's very in control to lose the plot. But I think it's the most safest thing you can do is to lose it because you're literally losing
Oh,
the past and the
you
pain
just
when we let it
it's like
flow through us.
it's like putting a band-aid on a boo-boo, but the boo-boo goes all the way to the bone. So if you don't treat the wound properly, then it gets infected. And what happens? It festers and it builds up
Yeah.
and it makes you sick. So I think
Mm,
it's time to stop putting band-aids on boo-boos and going to the root. And that's what Pluto does. It makes you go into, people call it the darkness, some people call it walking through hell. Trying to think what my astrology teacher said. Geez, I can't even remember. Something about even the God above doesn't mess around with, Pluto, the god of hell. But I don't really think of it that way. I think that there's healing in the darkness. And
yeah, I do too.
it just reminds me, and this song's been playing in my head for 2 days. I gave it to someone I was spoke to yesterday that's going through some personal
Mm,
trauma. Um, and I said, I keep hearing the song, The Sound of Silence. And that's been
mm,
playing in my head for 2 days. And then when you popped on, that song came on that I told you about, which
mm,
you didn't even know the song. So um
mm, mm.
I did send you the link in Messenger so you can listen to it.
Okay.
The Sound of Silence, there's a lot to be said. That song comes up a lot for me. And you think
Mm,
about the words, hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to speak
oh,
with you
yeah.
again. And then what was it? There was a vision planted in your brain that still remains within the sound of silence. And there are many times we sit in silence. And I know that sometimes when I sit in silence, like I turn the light out and I sit here on my balcony and I look out over the side of the mountain and I watch the sunset or the sunrise, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I've had
mm,
such beautiful moments in the darkness. So
mm,
I don't
mm.
think people should fear the darkness. I don't think people should fear the unknown. There's a lot of chatter right now because
Mm.
nobody knows what's going to happen with this Pluto, especially in
Yeah,
our country, in the United States. It's the Pluto return. So that's a massive change. And a lot of people are talking about things that they shouldn't really. Okay. It's not for me to say what someone should or shouldn't say, but I do not like when people make comments, un, unproven comments that create fear in others. Okay. Because nobody knows what's
yeah.
going to happen. Why do we have to look at change as a negative, fearful thing? I mean, I'm kind
There's
of
always options.
right,
Yes, there's always multiple options, and that's in quantum physics. And if you
right.
focus on the one you want to see, that'll usually be the one you're led into.
Exactly, exactly. And for me, I feel like really excited about, I think that the world needs change. I think the world needs healing.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that some people need to be exposed and brought to
Mm,
justice. I think there needs to be a balance between the masculine and feminine energy,
mm,
and it needs to be embodied by all sexes. Um, and I don't think we should be afraid to have those hard conversations, you know?
mm.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how we got here, but
I don't know either.
I just felt this passion come up in me like, wow, all right.
Mm, mm.
I don't know where that came from,
Yeah,
but you.
it was a beautiful song, but I don't know if this is from my Christian up round about you'll never feel alone. Walk on, be strong in the darkness, and you'll never feel alone. You'll never feel alone. It was an
Yep.
old hymn.
You know who would know? Tracy, because I know that song and I do not know the name of it.
Hold
So
on in your heart. Da, da, da. Yeah, we'll get it for next time. It's
yeah, you have to
when
get
you're
it.
going through the darkness, the divine is with you, holding your hand. And for anyone who's feeling that they're being abandoned, and we all feel that, even Christ on the cross said, "My God, why have you effed off? Why have you forsaken me?" That's the modern translation. There's a beautiful poem called Footprints, and the divine says to the man who's died and is on the other side, says, "I only see a single row of footprints in the sand," when he's doing his life review. During the hardest times, why did you walk away and leave me? And the Christ says to him, "It was then, at
Carry
those
you.
terrible times, that I carried you."
Mm.
Always makes me feel crying saying that. Um, and we don't feel it. It's like you said, we're in the deepest, darkest pain. It's very hard to feel, but for us to remember that the light in the hand of the divine, Mother, Father, God, whatever we may be needing, is carrying us. And though we're clasped in the dark clam in the deepest parts of the ocean, it is not our forever, and light is coming, and a pearl is forming. And after multiple experiences, we wear it, and it's iridescent, it's authentic. And we have a knowing, not just a believing and knowing, and it resonates. And then you read this little thing: somewhere a crown of thorns, somewhere out there welcome, somewhere over the rainbow. But I will wear my string of pearls, my string of pearls.
Oh,
That's
that
the end of that beautiful poem I lost, and it was returned to me. And on that note, my love, I have an appointment, and trying to find a subtle way to signal to you I have to go.
I
But
love
here
you.
I am saying it directly. I will have to love you, leave you, and sign out to all your lovely viewers. And we will check in again in our next session, same channel, same time.
Thank you very much because I know how valuable your time is. I love you. I adore you. Happy American birthday. Enjoy your 6 year of forward movement. God bless.
Much love. We
Love.
will talk soon. I love you and adore you too.
Take care, honey.
Right.
Good
Now,
night.
shall I leave, or are you going to stop the
Now
recording?
go ahead and leave, and I'm gonna say my goodbyes.
Okay, and I'll talk to you later.
Oh, Suzanne, before you go, where can people
Yeah.
find you?
My website, SusanneMorning.com. Susanne is SUSANNE, and morning like good morning.
And
All
she
one word.
is a beautiful healer, light language, and just beautiful human being.
Reading bits and
You
pieces,
can
whatever
you do
channels
all
through
kinds
at the
of
time.
coaching. You name it, she does it. And she does it all very, very well. I love you.
All right, I better scram. Lots of love to everyone. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye, sweetie. So I want to thank everyone for joining us while we had our crazy beginning, and let you know that Suzanne, you can also find her on Facebook. I think it's under Suzanne Morning or Suzanne Healing, I believe it is Suzanne Morning Healing or Energy Healing. You can find her there, and you all know where to find me. So I hope you enjoyed our little fun in the beginning. She is really a truly beautiful human being. I love her and I adore her. She is probably one of my most favorite people on this planet. So thank you again for your time. Remember to like and share this video. And I hope you enjoyed our humor and our seriousness. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Sending you all loads of love. Wishing you a beautiful day and a beautiful night wherever you are in the world. Namaste.